Welcome back to the Sega Master. Now, Star Wars Episode 7 is only a few days away, so I figure we take a look at the game's release here on the Sega Master System.
Star Wars is one of the most successfully commercial film series of all time, spanning DVDs, Blu-ray, and of course, merch. The first movie, Episode 4, A New Hope, was released in 1977, and today's game, Star Wars for the Sega Master System, was released in 1991. So we can assume that this game is quite polished.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Star Wars for the Master System is based on the first movie, Episode 4, but for some strange reason the cover just says Star Wars, like they knew they weren't going to make any more games in the series. Then again, Lucas didn't know if Star Wars was going to be successful in theaters. You play as Luke Skywalker, who is out to save the princess and become a great Jedi, fighting against the forces of evil and Darth Vader himself. This is where the game becomes quite complicated. You are thrust straight into the game. C-3PO tells you that R2-D2 has wandered off, and it's your job to rescue him. But the game starts you in a dark, dank cave, hunting for a gun. Once you have the gun, you may travel the planet of Tatooine, and explore many dungeons and areas. In these segments, you fly around in a land speeder using the directional pad to point in the direction you want to go. Just be careful of turrets and other enemies. When you reach a cave or new area, the game turns into a side-scroller, but that's when the game gets frustrating. One button for jump, the other for shoot. Holding the shoot button allows Luke to have a running start to jump to hard-to-reach areas, but the movement is what kills it. Luke moves like he's on ice. When you land, he slides, so you must tap the controller slightly in the opposite direction to save him from dropping into a pit, or be hit by an enemy. This already makes the game very hard to play, and it gets worse. The enemies spawn on the side of the screen with no time for you to react, so you get hit most of the time. You would have to remember every single movement and every enemy to do a clear run of this game. The sandcrawler is where you find R2-D2, so you get to traverse this giant death machine to rescue him. The game takes some weird ideas by creating hover platforms for you to jump into, and hitboxes that make the game more unforgiving. The other area I found was Mos Eisley, where you get to meet up with Han, but not before you're attacked by Jawas, multiple Boba Fetts, and even multiple Greedos.
They could have just used stormtroopers. Seems like a weird choice.
If you find Han and make it to the ship, you can take flight. The one part about this you don't need to do is rescue R2-D2. It's more for a completion bonus, as there are multiple endings, much like Super Metroid on the SNES. So if you're not looking for a completion playthrough, I suggest just heading to Han. The next type of gameplay, you must avoid the asteroids in the Millennium Falcon, which has got to be some of the most frustrating mechanics yet. You can't tell where they're coming from, so you just gotta swerve left to right and hope for the best.
Oh, damn it!
There's also an X-Wing level, but it's more like an asteroid style of gameplay, but the game moves way too fast to catch up. Luke doesn't really look like Luke, he looks more like Anakin from Episode 1. The cutscenes are straight out of the movie, washed over in pixels, but the gameplay graphics are average. Sometimes they shine through when you see the Falcon or when you're riding on the land speeder, but other than that, they're just average. The music saves a lot of the bad moves the game makers made, as the Star Wars theme is remixed in an amazing bit tune. Also, the remix in the Sandcrawler is like something you would hear in a club. Star Wars is a below average game. With difficult gameplay mechanics and unforgiving difficulty, it's actually one of the hardest Sega Master System games I have ever played. Like I said, the music does save some of the moments in the game, but the recycled enemies and levels in difficulty makes this game go back on the shelf. I think if Episode 7 isn't all that it's cracked up to be, at least it won't be as bad as this game. If you're a Star Wars fan, it would be great for the collection. But if anyone asks if it's any good, just tell them to wait until Lucas decides to re-release it on a format that ruins the original.
Well, that's all the time we have today on Sega Master. If you like this episode, click the like button and click subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all the latest episodes. Catch you guys next time.